Hi guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about my 2022 trade progress, I guess. I'm going to be sharing my live trades, the bigger trades I've taken, and my live P&L. So I'm only going to be doing this like once every year because throughout the year when I'm trading with open positions, I don't really like to show my positions, but I'll be talking about a few of my trades and my game plan coming to the new year. So where am I trading right now? And yeah, basically, I don't claim to be an expert. I'm somewhat of a degenerate myself. You know that meme? Yeah, that's me. So take everything with a pinch of salt. Throughout the whole year, I had different ups and downs, but I was generally quite profitable. I'm going to start off with where I previously traded, right? So, okay, let me see. So for a little bit of background and context, I started trading on this platform called BitMEX about 6-7 years ago, where I was quite bad, and I got to repeat once again, I'm a degenerate. I'm still trying to work on some things, which I will share again later how I'm progressing my trading. So I started on BitMEX, but after that I went on this platform called Binance, right? So like most people, I traded on Binance, and I was fairly successful at it. If you check my Twitter, this QR code is verified, so you can go and check it out. That I'm not BSing you guys, but it's right here. Right, you can go and scan the QR code. I was on the leaderboards for quite a fair bit of time, and I did make a decent chunk there. My first $5 that I turned into, I think, $100,000 or $200,000 before I changed it and cashed it out to this platform called FTX because of some regulatory issues from where I'm from, Singapore. So I went on FTX, right, and I thought it was cool. But throughout that whole process, I also on the leaderbox on FTX, and I did take multiple good trading positions, which I think if you guys were in my Telegram group, you would have checked it out. One of my largest trades were an XC short as well as a standard BTC short, which was amounting to about, both trades were about 100,000 USD. So those were my larger two trades. As I repeat once again, I took a fair bit of margin and leverage and size, which I am not really proud of right now, but it worked and it worked, right? So yeah, that doesn't mean that I'm a good trader, because if you can't really do your position sizing and risk management well, I've come to realize that you can get burned pretty quick. But yeah, I did call most positions quite well. Around 60 and 50k, I was already calling for it to go to 16k. As you can check out my Telegram channel and my Twitter. There's full disclosure. I've not deleted anything. So I drew this whole position and everything went out perfectly. If you go scroll through, like every position was correct. And that's how I took most of my positions throughout the year. Unfortunately, when FTX went down, I did lose a fair little bit of cash. I think to the amount of 20 or 30,000. But I did make it back recently. So since FTX has gone down, I've switched platforms, right? So if you guys are asking me where I'm using trading right now, I'm primarily using Interactive Broker, XM, and Webull. So I have current open positions on XM for crypto, which I'm doing CFDs. You can go and use my link in my website or in the link in bio later on in the description. For options, you can either use Webull, Interactive Broker, or there are several different platforms. There's Think or Swim. I'm not going to promote anything, but generally, if you want to support me, you can go check out Webull. I have been using Interactive Broker personally recently, and I've had a fair bit of success there as well. I'm willing to show my... I mean, after I shifted from FTX, I went into Interactive Broker. So this is a live trade, which live P&L, which I'll share. I think the last month, I made about 70,000 USD from my capital there, which I started off with 100. You can see here, I took a 408 or 409. I was basically doing short selling as well as some options. So you can see I shorted from 408, 409. I closed at 393. I reopened at 395. I closed at 386. I reopened at 399 and closed at 387. I was doing some other stuff like ED, Lulu, and Adobe, which I was doing. I was selling cash covered puts, and I was also buying puts. So I was expecting a downtrend, which was fairly accurate. You can see I was doing an Excel sheet as well. I'm trying to improve my trading, so I've been trying to optimize my laddering positions. I'm using some scripts as well. So the things I'm trying to figure out and learn as I go along. As I mentioned just now, I don't claim to be an expert. I'm still figuring it out. But I'll share some of my fundamental and technical indicators I'm using right now and yeah, what I'm looking at right now. So first thing first, where I'm looking at in terms of the market right now is that we are definitely midway throughout a recession. And most people would say that a recession will be coming in Q1 2023. So you can see in this chart, there's a few things I want to talk about. Conditional seasonality. Right now, we've been predicting that there'll be a Santa Claus rally, but generally in a bear market, we don't have that happen quite often, right? And here in this next chart, you can see you can use something like the VIX to see when you should be looking at tops. So when the VIX is 40 is really when you should be buying. Normally when it's 20 is not really there yet. So some stuff like that you can look. There are certain trends that you can go and follow. This is about seasonality and how often a Santa Claus rally occurs. Given that we are in a 28th December right now as I'm filming this video, a Santa Claus rally is unlikely to happen. And generally, since if we have a bearish breakdown during this period, it generally coincides with a further breakdown during Q1 and January. So that's something that you might want to be expecting. If you want to take a more speculative trade, you can do shorter dated options, but I generally wouldn't advise that for newer traders, right? I'm new myself. I'm not going to claim like I'm an expert, but yeah. And one more thing I wanted to add was that I'm also going to be working as a prop trader next year, so I'm not particularly going to share all my positions, but I'll generally give you guidelines as to where things are going. As I said, I'm still doing these videos for fun. I'm not trying to sell anything, not yet at least, but this is like a pseudo documentation of my trading journey. So yeah, I can share some of my day in a life as a trader as whatnot, but I'll probably be going to office. I'll be trading Forex, crypto, CFDs, and US market stocks at night. So that's generally my life. I guess it's fun. Anyway, another thing I would like to add is that the Fed is hiking further and faster than any time in modern history. So this is a very unprecedented time in quantitative tightening, but that's also because why we had such a assets run up over the last couple of years in terms of QE, right? They printed like 80% of the money is printed in the recent years. So and whatnot. We had a false run up after COVID, but do I expect us to go down to COVID level lows? Possibly, but not quite, because I think that was really there was a lot of fear during that time. We had multiple circuit breakers in the S&P during that period, as I can remember correctly. There was so much fear that it dropped to 2,000 for the SPY, right? So I don't think we go that low. With regards to crypto, there could be a fair bit more, but I'm not thinking much further than 4 digits. We don't go to any much lower than that. At a certain time, you should be a buyer, right? So I'm going to look at some charts right now. Since I've shown you my P&L and whatnot, you can go check out the QR codes and whatnot. If you don't trust me, it's fine. I'm not really trying to sell you anything. You can just check out my Twitter and Telegram. I have been profitable the last 2 years to a fair degree. So I really actually started with 500 USD. I started on Binance, shifted to FTX, and now I'm on Interactive Broker and XM where I'm doing CFDs. So I'm going to do a maybe exchange comparison. Right now I'm going to go... Okay, sorry if I'm going too fast. Right now I'm going to go into my technical indicators and my fundamental analysis, right? So in terms of... Yeah, I do a lot of research in terms of like the U curve, and what happened with Japan, and what happened with why I expect the USD to drop, the dollar milkshake theory. These are all stuff I'm reading up about. One day I'll share some of this material. You can go and slowly read it up if you want. But anyway, we're going to be talking about some trading strategies right now. Let's see if I can. Basic trading. Yeah. So some stuff I use would be the volume indicator, like a Elders Force Index, and I'll use ATR for my stop loss, and I'll use a momentum indicator like the Williams percentage R or stochastic RSI, which is about the same. You can also use the MACD, which most of you are familiar with. If you want like a in-depth rundown, you probably should Google somewhere else, because I don't have the time to teach that, and I'm not that good anyway. But basically, stuff that you should be looking at is also like the yield curve inverting and the VIX. So when we look at the yield curve inverting, generally, if you can see my chart right now, we are in one of the deepest and steepest yield curve inversions right now, which generally precedes a recession. So in any case, we'll be looking at a little bit more to go in Q1 as I'm expecting. How am I going to trade this? It'll be probably try to use better position sizing. I'm probably more speculative than the average trader, where I'm risking about 5% of my account right now, which in the past I actually risked a lot more with crypto because it was a lot more volatile. So right now I'm doing a little bit of crypto and a little bit of stock options, right? So I'm going to leave with some like statements, right? So basically, why do I think that this recession is going to happen in Q1, right? Based on Fibo time arcs, if you can go and check out Fibo time arcs, we should be facing a recession here, and we will recover by probably end of 2023. But of course, you can't just use technical indicators as a standpoint to how you should draw lines. Any monkey can draw charts. You still have to be reliant on the Fed meetings, right? So you can go and check out stuff like the economic calendar to see when basically the CPI data is coming out in the next FOMC hearing. If we see the labor market as the driver of consumption, and consumption being the driver of growth, this will induce a reverse multiplier effect as we learn in economics, right? So, and since growth being the driver of earnings, when we have our January earnings reports, I can presume that a lot of earnings will fall, and because of that, companies will start laying off because they're trying to fix their bottom line, right? So basically, they will want to have less costs, right? So basically, they'll be firing workers, and because of that, workers who have less to spend, and since consumption is a big chunk of GDP, especially in the US, and even at this point, if we have some COVID's over already. So I mean, if you can take into account last year I was talking about this thing called the M2 money supply and the velocity of money. Generally, if money movement slows down, right, then this will cause a reverse multiplier effect where we have this kind of a contraction effect on the economy. So I'm expecting January to be like the tipping point. So right now, this whole December period, I'm not really trading much size. I'm waiting for a better position to enter into my shorts and puts. But in general, I don't really think that you should be trading all the time as well. There's this thing called not over trading. So day in and day out, sometimes I do something like I'll sell cash cover puts, or I'll do something like a wheel strategy here and there, or I'll just take logical decisions to make a little couple bucks here and there. But as to where I'm putting my portfolio, it's currently still a lot on USD. Do I think the USD will fall? Yeah, I do, because if we talk about our currency carryover trade, I'm not sure if y'all guys are familiar with what the BOJ did at that time. I did put it on Twitter and Telegram, but basically they widened the band, right? And because of that, let me see where I put it. They widened the band, and then basically this makes it less attractive for the Japanese to park their money elsewhere, so they would rather park it inside their own country. And because of that, I mean, Japan is a very interesting country because they had a recession in 1989, I think, which they never recovered from, and they tried to do something like a helicopter money and excessive QE, but their citizens had a high saving culture, so they didn't really pump that kind of stimulus back into the economy. But in the US, on the other hand, when you gave them stimulus and resilience packages, they spent freely, they invested in the stock market, and that's why we had such high overvalued stocks over the last couple of years. So understanding things like this will help you to give a better gauge of stuff. You can read some of my stuff here. I'm just gonna scroll through it real quick if you wanna. Oh, whoops. What am I writing? BOJ. Nope. What am I? Widen the band. I think you write something right. Japan. Yeah, so you can just read some of the stuff here. If you want to take a look, this is some of my notes that I was writing about the recent the decision that they made. Right, so and anyhow, I'm going to leave you guys with this parting quote. Everyone deep in their heart is waiting for the end of the world to come, by Haruki Murakami, right? Basically, a recession is a good time to make money and to invest in the stock market and to make money. So I generally think that if you're well prepared for it, you shouldn't be too concerned. And there's always a bull market somewhere, right? So there's opportunity in the run up. Likewise, there is opportunity in the rubble. So if your employer hasn't increased your pay by at least 16% since the beginning of 2020, you basically got a pay cut, because inflation is really fighting against us right now. And when I talk about stuff like the dollar milkshake theory, right, it's basically we have to pay the debts for the US because they have borrowed so much money, they have so much debt, but the rest of the world has to pay the price because we still rely on the greenback. And a lot of other country currencies are pegged to the dollar in some sense. So I'm going to look at some counters before I close things off. But basically, in the last couple of weeks, we had growth stocks getting hammered. So we had like Tesla, Lulu, Amazon, and Meta obviously got hammered the last couple of months. These are still buy at the right prices. Of course, if you don't tank too hard, you got to look at the right prices. I know it's difficult to wait to buy, but generally patience is supposed to pay off. I'm looking at honestly 50 to 90 for Tesla, which is a very, very, very sad range for a lot of you guys, but that's where I'm looking at. I still definitely want to buy it. Lululemon is currently in a head and shoulder pattern. I'm in Lululemon position still, but I've obviously let it down. So I've taken some Lulu positions. Why? Because I think that they had a lot of excess inventory, and there's a head and shoulder pattern forming right here. So basically, I think 1.9 billion in excess inventory. You can go and check this up yourself, but I did some research on that. And above that, automobiles got hammered. So stuff like KMX, COF, ALLY, stuff like that has been dropping. I shared this on Twitter. There's also another in this counter called Silvergate, which was also the crypto bank for Binance and FTX if you were doing the off ramping and fiat transfers, right? Basically. Oh yeah, I also like to note that Binance is now currently available back in Singapore, or in certain countries. I think they have opened up to different jurisdictions, but I'm still a bit cautious about putting money into CEX, centralized exchanges, because I got a little bit of burn from FTX and I'm okay with just doing CFD. So, and if you want to support my content, you can also just sign up for the XM link that's in the link in bio. Anyway, this is just a short video to end things off for the year. I hope you guys enjoy watching. Remember, like, share, and subscribe. I'll share more of my journey and perhaps my day in a life as a prop trader and a degenerate, and sometimes my fitness videos. Alright, thanks for watching. Bye.